Carpe diem, my name is Ultranatic, and here's another Toll Drama vlog going over Toll Drama Island 2024's episode, Choosing for a Bruising. That's the 4th episode. And unlike you poor saps, where I love how simplistic and kind of basic the title was, this one, it's not bad. I mean, there is choosing and bruising within the episode, so it fits, and it is a commentary speech like cruising for a bruising, but I don't know, for some reason it's not quite hitting with me. But I'm gonna count that as like a major nitpick. It's not like a problem. This is one of those things where it's like, I don't know, like that should work better as a title than it does for some reason. I don't know, but at this point, this reboot has been so good, there's a lot of things I'll have against it that are gonna be very nitpicky, so take that with a grain of salt. And yeah, this is gonna be a much more in-depth episode when it comes to the challenge, because there's a lot of questions that are given about it. Personalized questions for the contestants that I might give a little bit of commentary on depending on what happens with these questions. But it does give you a lot of good insight into some of these characters. But we'll get to that in a minute. Let's start first with Bowie in the opening scene apologizing to Raj about the cheating in the last episode, which Raj forgives him for as long as they don't do it again. And what happens right afterwards? MK walks in and says, hey, I'm gonna get some deets about the challenge so we can cheat, which Bowie instantly, right in front of Raj, encourages, and Raj does not approve. I do like that. I think that's funny. Also, there is one thing that I was concerned about with Raj going into the season, that please don't have them break up or have any major drama over some stupid misunderstanding or something. Don't let a Gwent kind of thing happen. And it turns out, like, if that's what we're going with this, I kind of like this path. It feels like genuine natural conflict that does make sense, and they are communicating about it. And it does add like obstacles for these characters. So you know what, I can work with this just fine. We see Caleb continuing the train at the beginning of the episode. I'm sensing a bit of a trend because that's been happening a few times recently, kind of like what happened with Priya and Millie in the last season. That's how it opened up most episodes there too. And Priya comes to watch him, and Caleb takes advantage by bonding more of Priya, because Millie is now out of the competition, meaning Priya's going to need a new ally. Again, it's pretty smart. Now, is he using Priya? I don't think intentionally, because that'd be outright villain. Like, he's just desperate to try and have somebody on his side, which I can't blame him for, because again, he got eliminated first. Although again, he's doing a lot better now than last time. Heck, not only has he beaten his placement, but he has officially survived a tribal that he himself attended. So it's even better than that, actually. So kudos for him. We see Axel train too by like punching a big sandbag, it looks like. Ripper comes from behind, and out of instinct, she accidentally punches him. She apologizes and all that. She even fixes his nose that she punched. Ripper says more upfrontly, hey, like, I really like you. Like, I have like a major crush on you. And Axel very politely says, I don't really think you're my type, which makes him very sad. You know, I don't expect everybody to be on board with this ship, but I feel like it's really doing something right when I actually am invested in all this, because unlike last season where Ripper was being pretty misogynistic all around to the other women in the game, he is treating Axel quite respectfully. He's not pushing boundaries with her. He just likes her quite a bit, and he does make that known without being creepy or sleazy. And Axel is not really into him, but doesn't like completely shove him away or anything, or do anything really harsh about it. She just lets him down easy. I like that. That's a really good dynamic there, and you do kind of feel for Ripper without like hating on Axel. Like, what am I gonna say? Like she's not allowed to say no? Of course she is. And yeah, like at the very least, Ripper, it does feel like he kind of understands the boundaries a little bit. Not that he'll stop trying, but it's not like a Cody thing where he just does not understand that no freaking means no. It feels weird that I consider Ripper a slightly less misogynistic character than Cody, maybe, depending on how you look at it. I mean, I didn't see Ripper sniffing anybody's hair, or taking pleasure in having somebody with X-ray glasses looking at him with no underwear on. Again, what the heck was wrong with that? With Cody when he was doing that? That was, oh my god, I hate when I saw that. But anyway, MK reveals that she got nothing from the meeting because it was like some chore that Chris put the interns through. So it looks like there might not be any cheating. But put a pin in that. Not a bookmark alert per se, it just put a pin in that's a better way to put it. And we get another Squid Game based challenge, which if I didn't mention before, I've never actually watched Squid Game outright, but I know some pretty iconic images from it. Like, I know about, like, the big tug-of-war match that happens in the middle of, like, that giant pit. I know about the game that was homaged in the first episode of this season with Grandma Axe Hatchet and the paint balloons. And now this one has those two bridges that you gotta walk across. However, to pick which bridge you go across, you are going to be, the contestants here are going to be given questions that were answered by them back in the first season. In fact, we see Scary Girl at for a point with her makeup on and everything, not even normalized. And it's going to be would you rather based questions. And you have to guess what that contestant answered. And if you are, and step on the corresponding tile in response. If you're wrong, you get dropped down into a pool of ravenous wolverines. Otherwise, if you're right, you just keep moving forward. And the questions will become from people who are on the opposing team, so they're 100% incentivized to not give you the answer either. That's a very smart move. I like that. So Emma thinks she'll own this, which I think is a riot, because did you see how she kept, like, just instantly thinking that Chase forgave her in the last season, despite the terrible things he did to her without ever understanding that what he did was wrong? Yeah, like, just like how the Sultan in Aladdin thought he was a great judge of character, Emma's the same way. She thinks it, she's wrong. But yeah, more on that later. Raj goes first and gets a question from Damien, which says, would you rather camp in a graveyard or go a week without toilet paper? To which his answer is apparently B, because apparently he can wash his butt. Okay, I'm not opposed to the gross questions, because that is a common thing with would you rather games and all that. But even now I'm like, dude, don't you care about chafing? I'm sorry, but that is kind of nasty. And I know it's only for a week, but no, it's still nasty. Sorry. Although granted, maybe he did well during COVID if he happened to not find toilet paper anywhere else there. I don't know. So Raj gets that one wrong. Z then goes next and is given a question from Bowie, which is, would he rather wear clown makeup for a year or have his entire DM history made public? Emma gives him the answer that she thinks is right, and she's wrong. His answer was apparently that he'd rather wear clown makeup for a year because, quote, it's better for all if his DMs stay private. Who knows what that even means, but I understand that. Also, I'm going to be frank, I think Bowie could rock clown makeup. I really do think he could. Like, have you seen the Joker? That's all he ever wears, and he scored a chick. And I'm going to take a gander and say that Bowie has a lot more game than he does. So yeah, I think that Bowie could very much rock clown makeup. It could be the Joker's makeup from, like, the traditional sense. It could be Joaquin Phoenix's Joker makeup. Who freaking cares? I think it'd work for him. Then we get Wayne get a question from Priya that says, would you rather lose the passwords to every device every day for, I think, a year, or wear a hot dog costume for an entire school year? To which she picks B. I'm not gonna lie, I'm with her. I could work with that just fine. It's silly, but if you've seen my channel, I'm fine with silly. Nichelle then gets a question from Wayne, which I honestly didn't take note of what they were because they were both just hockey-based questions. It barely matters what was picked. But Emma guesses wrong for her again. And then MK gets back into the cheating mindset. So what she plans to do is volunteer next, and whenever she does fall through on the glass, she'll try and get as far as she can without that, of course, but when she falls, she'll bolt to Chris's trailer because she's pretty certain that the paths themselves are locked in. So she just needs to find the answer key so she can give the answers to her team. And they're like, well, wait, wouldn't they instantly catch on that we're cheating? And she's like, no, we'll use hot signs. Not gonna lie, I'd never heard that term before this, but she explains her strategy pretty succinctly. Don't listen to the actual answer she gives. Listen to the number of times she gives that answer. If she gives it an odd number of times, it's usually 3 in this episode, that means the answer is A. If she says it an even number of times, it'd be B. I think it might be like 2 or 4 times between that. And to that I say, as much as I dislike the chi in this game, that is devilishly clever. That's one of the smartest things I've ever seen on this show. And it's makes it a teensy bit easier for me to give a pass to this. I mean, I don't 100% because it is still cheating, but it's cheating that involved work. And I gotta tip my hat to that a little bit. Like, I don't know, like, it's kind of like when Jeff Winger in Community, in the first season, there was an episode where somebody in their class cheated with, like, a crib sheet. And the study group instantly thinks that it was probably Jeff, who's always kind of, like, trying to get by anyways. To that, he says, well, yeah, but if I was going to cheat, I wouldn't do it by writing stuff in the textbook and putting it down on a sheet of paper, because that's practically learning. Worley has kind of got a point. And it turns out he wasn't cheating, so, yeah, it's valid for him to make that statement. So, yeah, if the cheating requires work, it almost isn't cheating. Okay, it is still, obviously, but it's cheating that I weirdly admire watching, if that makes any sense. I'd never do it myself. But the fact that they actually thought it through that well and didn't rely on, hey, production's just stupid, I do kind of like that. Although, yeah, production is still stupid because, I'm sorry, you never once catch what's going on with her. That is dumb. So Julia then is given a pretty iconic confessional saying if M. Kane's brain drove a car, she'd totally date it. Okay, one, again, sapphic, and two, okay, when you really think about it, that confessional is kind of confusing. Like, if MK's brain drove a car, you date it. So you date MK's brain or the car she drove in? Or you're driving the brain because it has a car? I don't know what that means. There had to have been a better way to phrase that. That's nitpicky again. I find that more funny bad than, like bad. But it is one of those things where it's like, I get the message. There's gotta be a better way to put it. So MK then gets a question from Michelle saying, would you rather slide naked down a ski hill or spend a day in a wave pool that uses barf instead of water? To which MK correctly actually guesses B. I'm not gonna lie, they both sound disgusting, so who cares? Z is then given the question, would you rather eat popcorn that tastes like poop or poop that tastes like popcorn? For my stomach's sake, I would definitely pick A. I mean, I know it tastes bad, but at least my stomach could probably digest that. I'm not eating literal shit, but apparently Z would. Because, it tastes like popcorn. Just close your eyes, man. I don't agree, but, like, it's in character. Well, I'm gonna act like that makes no sense. Axel goes next, and Emma is literally clinging to her leg saying, please, listen to me. I know these answers. To which I'm like, why are you holding on to Axel's leg? What's the point of that? Like, I don't think that really matters for this challenge, but whatever. But yeah, then we get a question from Scary Girl, who again is in that makeup, and her screen is still glitching, by the way. Freaking love how they write her character. But her question that she's given is, would you rather take a truth serum and be questioned by chef, or only be able to eat chef's cooking for a whole year? Oh, instantly I would have said A. Like, I don't mind the truth. Like, I'm not eating chef's cooking for a whole year. Truth serum stuff, fine, I'll say it. And of course, Emma gets the wrong answer, and Scary Girl in the confessional says, of course I'd say A. There's no skeletons in my closet. Well, except for the literal ones, but I live at a funeral home, that's why. Okay, that makes both too much sense and not enough sense. Because just a funeral home? Remember the question that Damien got earlier where he said that he wouldn't want to live in a graveyard? I feel like Scary Girl would live in a graveyard. Next to a mausoleum. Well, no, a mausoleum is in a graveyard. What am I talking about? You see, this is why I like scripting like my reviews as is, because it gives me time to like think through these thoughts a little bit better. But all the same, I have fun making these vlogs. Chris then notices MK's absence, but Julia covers her by smartly saying she has explosive diarrhea. To which Chris is like, ew, TMI, you could have just said she went to the bathroom. I mean, she could have, but either way, you bought it, so there is that. Ripper then gets a question from Emma where she asks, would you rather eat toenail clippings or not shower for a month? I mean, again, both are very gross. I choose to not comment with that one for now, but like if I'm in like a different personal game maybe, but Jesus, no, I don't want to even think about those options. But Emma apparently picks A. She'd rather eat toenail clippings, which Ripper correctly guesses because he sees her gnawing on her fingernails. And She's like, well, what? I already do that. Toenails are just like foot fingers. That's not how I go with that. Your feet are usually, depending on the person, your feet are covered with socks, which get coated in sweat, which means your feet will be very sweaty. Your hands can get sweaty too, but much less often. Are you really okay with this? Like, really think that one through. I'm sorry for making all y'all think about that too, but it's one of those things where the episode makes you think about it. I don't mind discussing questions outright because it is still a funny insight, at least a couple good jokes. And as far as gross out comedy is concerned, it's mostly just verbal disgusting and not like visual or audible disgusting. And I don't know, I think that takes a little bit more creativity. Millie is an ass, would you rather eat 200 lemons or rustle your best friend's grandpa? That was like the easiest question I ever heard in my life. I picked B easy, and of course it was B. Caleb is then asked the question, would you rather eat pudding from an angry gorilla's armpit or jump from a parachute with a parachute that was packed by your ex? To which I think most of my relationships have ended up on a decent level in the past, so I would have gone with B. And of course, Caleb picks that as well. But the reason why is because he has not had a serious ex outside of a kindergarten fling that he had. He's had dates, but not girlfriends, to which I'm like, how is that possible? At this point, I believe more that Chris would not notice that MK's cheating over Caleb not having a steady girlfriend since he was 5. What? You of all people not having a girlfriend, how is that possible? Are you secretly a dupe, a D-bag or something? I don't think so. You don't strike me as one. Like, I can see you being someone who makes mistakes, but you're an actively nice, charitable guy who's got muscles for months and then, like one of the most charming faces and demeanors I've ever seen in my life. How the heck have you not had a girlfriend? Priya is as shocked about this as I was. Like, what? But yeah, that's why he picks B, because he doesn't even have an ex, so why would I even marry to him? So that makes perfect sense to me. Emma then goes next. Or she's going to go next at least, but then Axel brings up a very good point. That she's not a good judge of character because she literally kept making out with Chase last season, who cut the brakes on her car. Yes! Somebody else says it. Can I kiss you out? No, I'm not going to kiss Axel. I don't want to piss off Ripper. But at the same time, I'm like, thank God somebody else freaking said it. Jeez. So Priya then instead has a plan for Emma. I'd argue, like, you know that thing that the skunk butts agreed on with, like, do the opposite of whatever I say? Ironically, they do that too, but in a non-cheating method. They say that whatever Emma picks for the challenge, she wants her teammates to go with the opposite. Now, she says that in secret from Emma, so she can't figure that out, because of course that would hurt her pride. But yeah, they began doing that, and that's exactly how it works. The question that they're first given is by Rush, who's asked, would you rather fight 1 bear or 100 rabid kittens? Apparently, the answer is B. I think I go with B, too, yeah, personally. I mean, I'd lose, because I'm not going to fight kittens. Rabid or not, I'm like, oh, look at the little kid. Ow, 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 ow. But yeah, and then Ratface kind of goes on a streak from that point. Z then gives away what the freaking trend is with them, because, of course, he's dumb. And Emma is offended and refuses to play further. That is the dumbest freaking... Like, I kind of knew from the get-go of the episode that Emma was going home. Not a spoiler. If you watch the episode, you know she goes home. But it's one of those things where it's like, I didn't think it'd be, like, from practically her own doing like this. Like, she actively puts herself in the worst possible situation. To anybody who's following Survivor 46 right now, Jelinski made better choices in his episode than Emma does in this one. And I'm not even talking about, like, picking A and B. I'm talking about everything else with the challenge. This is actively stupid. Like, I guess in character kind of stupid, but still stupid. Jeez. So then an MK question is given that she refuses to help out with, which is either give up texting for 5 years or lose your bathing suit in a crowd wave pool. Why are there a bunch of wave pool based questions? I don't know, but she picks B because you better not call people because teenagers. And of course, that one is one that Caleb gets wrong. Furthermore, MK comes back and they begin that streak that I mentioned where she gives the answer by the number of times. They get a question from Axel, which asks, would you rather be dirt poor, but celebrated as a great poet, or a filthy rich lawyer who puts guilty people, criminals, back on the street? To which apparently she picks A, which gives Ripper an idea, and he just runs away at that point. We will come back to this. We hear a question from Priya, which is asked, would you rather be A, genetically merged with a warthog, or B, have Chris McClane be your dad? And her choice, I would have picked B. At least with this Chris. Like, I'm sorry, between Chris and Priya's actual father, Chris is kind of beating him. I don't say that lightly either. Like, this is Chris McClane we're talking about here. And I think he might actually have a chance at least, of being a better father. Because at the very least, I've been watching this venture camp and we know about Crystal. And while she has her sadistic moments too, she has a heart, which means she got something despite, like, emotional and heartfelt in her, despite being raised by Chris. So, yeah, I take more chances with that. Now, granted, they wouldn't know that. It's a different canon. I don't know. I'd probably the same canon, whatever. But yeah, she picks A. MK, while Bowie's going on the street, because it's him, purposely gives Bowie the wrong answer because she feels like Chris would have been getting suspicious about how things have been going. About how they've been getting all the right answers so far. Also, apparently, because Julia wanted to see Bowie fall into the pool. I will admit the aim makes no sense because he's already near the very end of the course, and the pool's kind of only in the bare center. Like, it goes up far, but not to the very edges. So how would he have fallen in that pool? I have no idea. He would have fallen to the ground, but I digress. Emma then goes next/last because either she wins it or loses it for her team at this spot, and she's given, what do you know, a chase question. Oh, this ain't gonna work. But the team begs her to go with her gut, but then pick against it, if that makes any sense. And the question he's given is either apologize for something that he's not sorry for, or go bald before the age of 23, or by the age of 23. Even I was like, have you seen him in the last episode? He doesn't even think he can do wrong. So yeah, somehow B. She doesn't, and ironically, she knows that would have been the answer, but it's told to go against her gut. And the sad thing is, apparently she knows Chase better than we all would rather she knew Chase. So yeah, for once she was right, but because she was told to pick the opposite of that, she falls through, and the skunk butts win. Which I'm a little more okay with, because at the very least there's guilt from Bowie about the cheating, and there was effort put in the challenge, like, not necessarily from just the answers. Ripper went on a pretty decent streak, for what it's worth, and they gave themselves an out to potentially lose. So hey, like, things could have gone south for them, like, in different circumstances, but they didn't, so there's that. The marshmallow ceremony happens, and Emma's kind of the obvious culprit. Chev mentions that it might be Priya, because she got her hopes up and whatnot. No. And he then says that, Axel, I think it's weird that you like poetry. Why? Poetry's fine. Also, you read Gwen's diary in the first season, which, given, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little poetry in there. Like, she wrote stuff about Trent, not as poetry, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was poetry in there. Jeez. And she's an artist, like an actual drawing artist. That would make sense. So I don't know what Chef's hang-up about poetry was. But naturally, Emma goes home because she started the challenge and made all these bad decisions. And yeah, what I said about her potentially being a better character without Chase around, oh, I was wrong. Hey, I'm not always right. I'm not Chase. I can admit when I make mistakes, or at least bad calls. So, yeah, there's that. That all being said, the episode is not over. Oh, did this get a reaction from people? Ripper gets on the intercom. I don't know how personally, but okay. And he gives a small-minded, very cringy, but ultimately heartwarming poem for Axel to talk about how much he likes her. I mean, not that it's news or anything, but, like, he's trying to win her over with the poetry stuff now. And he completely falls for it and kisses him on the spot. This is gonna sound so weird, but my heart soared. I was like, oh yes, it actually worked. And the reason I'm okay with it working is because, again, like, he's not pushing boundaries outright. Like, he understood no meant no, and I think he was giving her a little bit of space. I mean, maybe for the challenge sake or whatnot, but all the same, this didn't feel like it was going out of bounds. It's just, he learned something new about her, and he's like, okay, let me try that. And it felt just so honest and sincere, and I do appreciate that. So, Fred from Twitter, your character really did kind of win me over. I didn't care for him a lot in the first season. I like him just freaking fine. In ways I probably shouldn't, but I do. And either way, your acting's always been good with the character. So, like, regardless, like, it's just cool to see, like, this part of him being shown. This side of him being shown, as you kind of teased. So, yeah. In general, I like the episode. It has its moments that got on my nerves, mostly with Emma. And again, not entirely on board with the cheating, but even the cheating kind of impressed me in places. So that's a pretty good sign right there. And, yeah, that is, Choosin. I got the figure of speech on that. Choosin for a Bruisin. Again, if we're talking by default, maybe this would be one of the weaker episodes, but I still would go back and watch it plenty of times, because it's just a substantially entertaining episode, in my opinion. And that concludes this Total Drama vlog. Again, I'm having so much fun going over these new seasons. I pray we can get a season 3 from this new reboot. We'll never know. We won't know for the time being, at the very least. But given what a streak we've been on, if we got season 3, I can only assume that we're gonna get some good things out, because this is a cast and crew that really freaking cares. They're not always perfect, in my opinion, but man, do they care where it counts. And I am having so much fun with this. It's just a great reboot. How often do you hear that? In my opinion, this is a great reboot. Thank you so much, Terry McGurran, for what you've been giving us so far. Thank you to all the cast and crew and writers who have been really hitting it out of the park on a lot of these episodes. And I cannot wait for the next episode, so I will see you all next time. Take care.